In 2011, the world of basketball was set ablaze. A man who managed to make everyone talk about him, a man who had ice cream flavors named after him, a man who was placed on the Time Top 100 list of most influential people. This man is Jeremy Lin, Ivy League scholar and one-time NBA champion. Now, I'm sure you're wondering how this man became an overnight sensation from seemingly nowhere. I'm here to tell you his story and how something like this would even occur. Jeremy Lin was born and raised in California, living in Palo Alto for his youth. He learned to play basketball from his father at a local YMCA, went on to lead Palo Alto High's basketball team to a Division II state title with 32-1 win-loss record. He was accepted into Harvard, becoming an Ivy League all-team athlete, setting multiple school records. After graduation, Lin went undrafted in the 2010 NBA draft, but that didn't deter him from competing in the league. Lin signed a 2-year, two-way contract with the Golden State Warriors, meaning he would play for their team as well as their D-League affiliate, the Reno Bighorns. Despite playing less than 10 minutes per game on average, Lin gained a small cult following stemming heavily from the large Asian American population in the San Francisco Bay Area. Lin improved his skill and strength during the offseason as well as the NBA lockout, but had his contract waived by the Warriors in order to increase their salary cap. He was picked up by the New York Knicks due to them needing a bench warmer point guard due to injury. Lin was moved back down to the D-League, but after proving too much of a potential star to stay there, he made his way back up to the Knicks, but was so afraid of being cut, he asked a chaplain to pray for him pre-game. In a game against the Nets, a game that his agent reportedly said could be his last in the NBA, came off the bench and dropped a startling career-high 25 points and 8 assists. He was then quickly pushed to the starting lineup in a game against the Utah Jazz, main reason for this being that Carmelo Anthony was injured, Knicks backup Amari Stoudemire is taking some time off as his brother had recently died, so they needed more people on the floor. However, since beginning to start, Jeremy Lin was quickly becoming a massive star who was also leading the Knicks on a 9-3 win-loss streak. His playing led many fans to begin celebrating a new era, an era of so-called Linsanity. His career-high points came in a game against the LA Lakers, scoring 38 on Kobe Bryant's defense, a man who, in a post-game interview, said, "A player like that doesn't come from nowhere. His skill was probably there from the beginning and nobody noticed." Unfortunately, magic was not quite as long-lasting as it was fun. His injuries put Lin on the bench for the rest of the season, and he was moved to the Houston Rockets and overshadowed by his temporary James Harden, future All-Star. Linsanity had clearly faded a fair bit. Lin, although playing very well, never reached his same level of popularity and talked aboutness as he did in NYC. However, Lin left the league on a high note, winning one championship with the Toronto Raptors, 2019. Now that we know the story of Linsanity, let's talk about its real impact. After Lin started playing more games and starting for the Knicks, buzz in New York City became massive. Jeremy Lin becoming a star was a huge victory for the NBA and the Knicks. His merchandise pushed that of his teammates like Carmelo Anthony, extremely popular player, off the shelves. He had the second highest jersey in the league that year, behind fellow young sensation Derrick Rose. Lin's popularity also sparked more of an interest in Chinese and Taiwanese populations in New York. His rookie card rocketed at $21,000 in price, and rumors of dating Kim Kardashian started to circulate. Fortunately, Jeremy Lin's success did not come without hatred. As an Asian American sports star, he was routinely insulted since he had started playing competitively in 6th grade. As Lin said in an interview, quote, "Growing up, I could never just be a basketball player. I was always seen as different. His opponents at Harvard call him ethnic slurs or shout pseudo-Chinese nonsense. Even in the league, some analysts said things that were truly awful, from him, quote, cooking with hot peanut oil, unquote, or, to paraphrase, being a, quote, hole in the armor of the Knicks. Racial profiling was probably one of the reasons that people underestimated him. As practically the only other East Asian superstar is Yao Ming, a 7'6" beast. Lin also stated in interviews that people would say he was deceptively athletic, which stems from the fact that people thought he was just a lesser player because he was East Asian. Even when he was brought into the NBA by the Warriors, people saw him as a publicity stunt to generate more capital from the Asian American population in the Bay Area. He faced constant adversity, but still made it to the top, and that's what makes his story inspiring. The truth is, Jeremy Lin's success didn't come from nowhere. He was always a good basketball player, just people never saw him as that. They saw him as lesser because of his race. And even when he faced adversity, he was a composed and humble person. He refused massive deals with companies because he wanted to focus more on his play than any money. They never really went to his head. In conclusion, I think that the reason we should look back at Linsanity, it's not just because it's the story of someone overcoming adversity to become seen as a star, but because of the impact it had on people and the American population. In a way, this was the first time some people had seen an Asian superstar outside of tech nerds or karate masters. People's horizons were broadened by this man who was something that they hadn't really seen in an Asian American in the role of. He showed people that he wasn't just a stereotype. he was and is an icon. I've been Nate Rankin. Eat healthy, stay in school if you're in school.